What is Lucky Block Skywars? Well, it's the best game on the Hypixel server, available every 2 weeks. You see, I played a few games of it, and I gotta say, it truly lives up to its name. But how do you play Lucky Block Skywars? Start off like any other game, Skywars, choosing between suffering alone or with friends. But there's a twist. All kits and perks are disabled, meaning that there is no advantages for long-time players. Top players don't kill somebody and suddenly get a gap, a pearl, your entire life savings, and a Medal of Honor. Nobody gets that. Instead, all you get are these tiny blocks called Lucky Blocks, giving you a random assortment of rewards or punishments depending on how lucky you are. There are 5 types of Lucky Blocks: Weaponary, Guardian, Wild, Crazy, and Insane. The last 3 all generally have the same drops at different rates, so I'll refer to them as the mid Lucky Blocks, since that is where they are most common. First off are Weaponary Lucky Blocks, which can give you incredible items with the power to instantly revoke life privileges to absolute weapons like the Stick of Truth, which can sometimes reveal the nicked player, but let's be honest, that never happens. Generally, you'll want to pick the strongest weapon you can find that does the most damage, but knockback weapons can work too. In these Lucky Blocks, the 2 most important questions to ask is, how strong is it, and how reliable is it? Take for example, the Angel of Death Sword, an incredible weapon capable of inflicting wither and high amounts of knockback to enemies, but breaks after a single use. Then, on the other side, there's the Berserker's Rock, a sharp 3 stone that can deal moderate damage, but messes with the terrain in a harmful way, which makes it less reliable of a weapon. These are things you should consider when picking between weapons in Lucky Block Skywars, but generally, the best weapons are the ones that deal true damage. What is true damage, you may ask? Well, it essentially looks at the opponent's armor and ignores it entirely. Weapons such as the Axe of Perun does 5 true damage per hit after cooldown, meaning every strike of true damage does 2.5 hearts. However, no weapon is as strong as the shotgun when dealing true damage. This item is a 6-use comparator that, when right-clicked, shoots pellets at the enemy with a short range of a couple blocks. However, they completely ignore armor and deal knockback, and you can suppress and kill an enemy within around 5 to 4 blasts, assuming they have no added health. The shotgun can also go through walls and ignores any sort of invulnerability, making it the strongest item in the game. You could technically dual wield this menace with a normal sword, have it act as a fishing rod, stopping the opponent's sprint while also dealing extra damage. But now that I've talked about offense, defense needs some love too. Remember kids, protection is important. That is why you should always get the best armor possible from Guardian Lucky Blocks. Standard armor like the Disco set, or just normal iron armor, is always good, but there are certain pieces of gear you should never wear. The lit boots and hot head both perpetually set you on fire, which isn't great. Icy pants replace the blocks under you with ice, making it easier for you to slide off the edge after getting hit. But worst of all is the Greaser Jacket. This chest plate, when worn, will spawn TNT inside of you whenever you are hit by a player or projectile. There are some exceptions to this, like the shotgun, which will not activate the chest plate on hit. However, you gain nothing from this unless you plan to turn into a suicide bomber, because the TNT will kill you more often than not. There are more armor pieces that are simply a matter of choice whether you wear them or not, like the jukebox helmet. It does provide decent protection, but also gives your position away because of the no block sounds it makes. There's a solution to removing negative effects from such armor pieces. If you have 2 of an armor piece, simply crafting them together will remove all effects from them and at least give you some protection. But armor from a Guardian Lucky Block may also give you positive effects like speed or jump boost to increase your mobility. In this category of block, you want to ask yourself, do I want better protection or better effects? Some armor may grant you incredible speed but leave you vulnerable, while others may offer you incredible protection but no bonus effect. In Guardian Lucky Blocks, there are also potential effects and healing items you may receive, and those can be beneficial in combat or for general recovery. Items that can heal 5 hearts in instant or simple gaps that can provide regeneration, or even the cornucopia that provides 10 minutes of long-lasting regeneration, which will probably last you longer than the game itself. There is one type of lucky block I will briefly mention called the Lucky Rule Lucky Block, where opening it gives you a chance for 6 total random events to occur. Double jump enabled, creeper invasion, throw projectiles farther, TNT rain, speed 4 for the rest of the game, and triple HP. All of these are very self-explanatory, so we'll move on to the larger topic. And then we have the wild, crazy, and insane lucky blocks, the mid lucky blocks in particular. These all contain the same items, so I'll put them all into this general category. These blocks have a wide variety of effects and items they can drop, and even contain some loot from weaponry and guardian lucky blocks. I'll only focus on the main items and events that can occur, because otherwise this video would be much longer. First off, we have the Kaboom effect. This is an event that can happen when a wild, crazy, or insane lucky block is opened, and it launches all players high into the air, and applies Feather Falling X to their current boots, or gives them boots with that enchantment. This negates any and all fall damage as long as you have the enchantment on your boots. Brightable mobs can be found from opening these blocks, and when found, you will be mounted to either a blaze or a wither. Both of these mobs have a total of 20 HP, and after taking 10 hits of any attack or projectile, they will die and dismount you. These mobs both have decent potential to attack with their constant spearing projectiles and can be ridden for an extended period of time, but also have the tendency to suddenly disappear after a certain amount of time. You can also dismount from them manually by pressing shift, but doing so removes the mob. Lifesavers are an incredibly important part of the game, as they have the potential to save your life from impending death numerous times. One of these items includes the Rush Pearl, which can be found in blocks and in mid-chests. Throwing this item will launch a rideable pearl, and it will eventually succumb to gravity like any other thrown projectile, but also can be dismounted at any time. Enter teleports can instantly teleport you to a desired location at a certain range by clicking on the block you wish to travel to. Void Charm saves you from dying instantly to the void and constantly boosts you into the air for around 40 seconds, and by holding shift, you can descend and stop the boosts. These boosts will stop if you hit another player with a melee attack, but continue if you shoot someone with ranged weapons. This item can be used to fly around the air or raining fire on enemies below. Island Explorer is the best lifesaver in the game, since it is instantly activated item that, when right-clicked on, sends you to a random island. This can be used to save you from the void, a PvP fight, or any general bad situation. And finally, the grappling hook can also be used to save you from falling into the void with correct timing and usage. Or, if there is a nearby water flow into the void, trying to grapple into the water can save you, as you can simply swim upwards. However, the grappling hook has a low durability, so be sure to be efficient with its uses. Moving more on from lifesavers, melon launchers are a special kind of item that are thrown like a projectile and explode shortly after launch, dealing damage and knockback to enemy players. These items are able to penetrate invulnerability and don't deal damage to you or your teammate, making it a great item for mobility. Mobility in of itself is very important in this game. There are a lot of items that are available to increase your mobility, such as the launcher items. Pig and melon launchers are both great devices for traveling around areas fast and quickly. You may also take fall damage as a result, unless you have Feather Falling Axe, so be aware of that. Explosive bows are also great for mobility, although slightly more finicky, as they will sometimes not detonate unless the arrow is a couple blocks away from your character, but it is still a great mobility item nonetheless. Explosive bow has a unique property of its own, where it will deal knockback to you and enemy players, but enemies will be healed substantially when hit by an explosive bow shot. The three items all provide strong horizontal movement, but lack vertical movement, so trying to climb more than 4 to 5 blocks high could be a stretch. Melon launchers are slightly better for vertical movement than pig launchers. Pig launchers are slightly stronger horizontally. All of these movement types will take time to adjust to and get used to, almost like rocket jumping in TF2. Another very important projectile is the fireball, which can deal 8 hearts of damage if direct hit is landed on a player with no armor. You get 8 of these per drop. These items are mass balls of destruction. However, they can easily backfire if they are spammed or hit back towards you. Fireballs spawn at a certain point when you fire them, meaning if you click too fast, too many will spawn and collide with each other, blowing up right in front of you. The Golden Horse effect can suddenly equip you with full gold armor and a gold sword for 60 seconds, but the downside is that you cannot move armor or lucky blocks around in your inventory for that allotted time. This can be great early game, but horrible at mid to late game because you cannot move any lucky blocks to your hotbar to open them, and generally the effect is trash. There are a couple more events like the 3x3 hole spawning on your broken lucky block, teleporting to a random player after 3 seconds, swapping with a player after 3 seconds. It is recommended you jump in the void with 1 second left to kill the swap player and preserve your health from massive fall damage. Hot Potato, which does 8 hearts of damage after a certain amount of time unless you pass it off to another player, and on and on and on. I highly recommend you check out user Crafter0800 and the post he made describing each item in short and simple terms. While there are so many different items and cool abilities in the game with so many different effects and rules, it would take far too long for me to list every single one of them and each of their respective uses. So instead, I will show you a couple clips of how I use the items and how they impacted the game. For this first clip, I'm coming up and climbing this building and notice this guy. So I'm gonna try and kill him with my shotgun and jackhammer, which does 5 damage. As we initiate this scuffle, I whip out my gun and pre-fire him so as to deal some damage and knock him away. Then I toss some gravity guns at him, which deal about 3 hearts of damage per gun, plus the fall damage he'll take from falling that height. Knowing I hit him with that much damage, I knew he was low, so I chased after him as he pearls away. He's on 3 hearts within a few seconds of fighting. So I use my mobility to catch up to him and slam him down with my jackhammer, firing 1 preemptive shotgun blast before hitting my melee strikes to deal extra damage. Here I'm trying to get more gear and lifesavers for better survivability, but then I get this swamp, so I jump it around the 1 second mark, sending someone into the void. I continue to loot until I get a hot potato, which I do not want. However, there happens to be a player just in view, so I go for him and pass the potato to him. Immediately, there are 2 problems with this situation. 1, this man has 28 health, and the hot potato will not bring his health low enough to kill him, for he will have 12 health left. 2nd, notice the weapon in his hand, the axe of the wound, which is far too much for me to handle in my current armor. So I attempt to escape with my vertical mobility, but do so poorly and get hit twice, leaving me vulnerable to a bow shot. Even with the all-powerful shotgun in my possession, I still lost because of my lack of armor and poor reactions. I've got some good armor and weapon along with a void charm lifesaver, so I'm trying to get some more gear when I get another 2 void charms. These things are pretty rare. The fact that I have 3 of them is pretty incredible, so I make the most out of them and see these 2 people fighting each other and decide to make my presence known. I also get the grappling hook, which I decide to use in an aggressive way, instead of as a potential lifesaver, seeing as I have 3 void charms. I kill this person, and then grappling hook over to the other person and stab them with Excalibur, a true damage weapon, until they die. After killing them both, I switch out my boots for speedster boots, which gives me extra mobility, and then get shot off into the void, which isn't a problem since I have a few void charms. In this time, where I fly up to the surface, I manage my inventory since I've got a moment of calm, where I can reorganize and strategize. Then, I fly above the person who shot me, miss some shots, and drop on them to kill them. I find my next victim and try to chase them, but get hit by knockback 10 slime ball, and use another void charm to fly above them, trying to get a few bow shots in, but only landing 1. So I just drop on him and kill him, winning the game, which just goes to show how powerful these lifesavers are, seeing as I avoided imminent death twice. About the start of the game, my weapon isn't the strongest, but does have decent knockbacks, so I'm trying to get some more items here in order to get stronger, maybe some kills, and end up getting 2 important things, meld launchers and ninja mode. One thing to note is this effect makes me invisible to the entire game, meaning my name tag and model is hidden, and even my name on tab is gone, so nobody suspects a thing. I am still able to take damage and get hit in this mode, so I need to use it well in order to pull off a clean kill. However, this effect also gives me a healthy serving of regeneration for 2 minutes, which definitely helps in the long run. So, with my melons, launch over to another player's island, but he vanished. That doesn't matter though, as I can easily launch over to another island and make use of my invisibility for a surprise attack. I hit this man clean off and head over to middle where I see some people already looting. This guy decides to jump me and hits me with his Sword of El Dorado, which is incredibly strong and has a fire aspect. Of course, after seeing this, I try to get away, and this guy starts chasing me and climbing up the ladder, to which I try and launch him off with a melon launcher. Here's where it gets interesting, because I managed to launch this guy right into the loving arms of the other guy looting middle, who has a lot more armor and gear, which is great for me as it gets rid of some competition. But then, this man throws a melon launcher at me, which puts him into a tight position where he can't escape the other guy's wrath, and my regeneration is coming in clutch. Of course, after one of them dies, I'm next, so I risk it all on a good melon launcher hit, because I don't have enough gear to survive a hit on Clash, and I slip the thread through the needle and send the other guy into the void. But as I'm looting this guy's stuff, it turns out I didn't kill him, as I suddenly hear in my ear. However, I had already equipped the Sword of El Dorado, and my opponent's weapons were weak, dealing at most 2 damage, meaning even if with the armor disadvantage, his position in that enclosed space was enough to put him in deep trouble, as I pin and kill him. Now, I gradually restore my strength and eat food when I climb up to the middle tower and get TNT thrown at me. I noticed there was an Alex that slipped by into middle, and I scuffled with her for a bit before noticing someone else was at middle, so I put to stop them with a melon launcher before taking centuries to try and kill this Alex. Eventually, I have her cornered and low, but then they pull out an invincibility star and start taking an aggressive approach. Here, my hubris got the best of me, as I thought I had enough time to wait for their invincibility to wear off, but they had managed to punch me into the void for an embarrassing defeat. Such a sad sight. Here, I'm trying to go to middle to loot, but I happen to have the horse effect active, meaning when I'm trying to loot the lucky blocks, it won't let me, which isn't great, and that's because the lucky blocks are technically a player head, which is armor, and you can't move armor while the horse effect is activated. So I try to profit off of my speed and use the horse that the horse effect gives you to hurt this player, but their health is too high, so I fail. And right here is the moment where I get this fireball hits me and my horse hard, stunning it so that I cannot move. The added fire stuns it for even longer, meaning I am vulnerable to another blast to my face from blood power, showing just how deadly the fireball can be. Here, I have just killed someone, and I'm just looting their stuff when the last player approaches me, so I attempt to fireball blast them, but to no avail, as it turns out they were invincible. You can see here by the rainbow particles under their feet. However, I quickly noticed and used my shotgun to slowly but surely drain their health until they died. Then here, I have fighting against someone with similar gear as mine, but they have the Axe of Perun, which does the same base damage as my weapon, but deals extra true damage. In this battle, I had to trust my guts and hit more attacks than the enemy, and I just barely win it. The main aspect of this game is picking your fights, and sometimes you gotta trust that you will win that fight. Here, I didn't have a lot of gear, but then I suddenly get the rideable wither, and then start destroying the entire lobby with it. I'll explain a little bit of my process here, as I'm typically going for the players at a safe distance where they can't hit me, and I can hit them. Fireballs spawn a fair distance away from the wither itself, and if you are able to control the wither's wild movements and mount it up against some blocks where the fireball hits them, but you are covered, it's game over for the enemy, so long as they do not hit you with a Jedi Force, which will dismount you, a swamp, which will also dismount you, hit your wither with an ancient sword, or hit you with various projectiles, you will be fine. Snowballs are a great weakness to both of the rideable mobs, as any hit will cause them to lose 2 HP of their health, meaning that only 10 hits are needed to kill the rideable mob. Jedi Force and swapping will dismount you, but the Angel of Death sword, if it hits the wither, will hit you with an area of effect cloud, which gives you wither 4 for quite a while, which is generally enough to kill you. Also, if you can look up in the sky and back down to your enemies, your wither will remain airborne, where they cannot use their melee attacks to damage your wither or blaze. Mainly, snowballs are the best way to deal with rideable mobs without wasting a ton of resources. However, the only damage my wither took from this game was an adjacent explosion from a TNT that a greaser jacket created, so this lobby really did not know how to deal with this. Here, I'm interrupting a 1v1 fight by shooting some punch bow shots at these guys. Then I whip around and stab this guy behind me, trying to keep everything under control. Try to put on some gear as fast as possible before finding the last 2 people, heading over to them. Getting ready for an all-out battle when I win by doing absolutely nothing. Incredible. Moving on. Here, I have bad armor and no weapon, so I don't have much to go off of. Then, I get an incredible chest, which I take advantage of and try to look for armor. I choose not to look for a weapon because 1, the weapons that you can get from weaponry blocks are typically better, if not on par with the weapons from incredible chests, and there was nothing great weapon-wise coming out of this chest. And so I took the best enchanted piece of armor available, chestplate, because it was much harder to obtain than a good weapon. Later on in that same game, I still have the chestplate, but now I have a decent weapon, and so I use my strong defense and good offense to fight the last player. And even though they have the Axe of Perun and zombies and dogs, I still managed to overpower him with my OP potion effects and strong gear, also using a lifesaver to make sure I didn't die and deliver the final blow. Here, I'm mainly using my melon launcher to travel fast to enemies and surprise them, like this guy stuck in water. I get him into a combo, kill him with Excalibur, and then I melon jump over to another guy, start hitting him until he tries to escape. I steal his lucky block and then chase after him, using my mobility and melons to catch up to him, dealing more damage as I continue to hit him. Here, I try to melon launch jump and jump to this guy. He hits me back, but engages with me, and then proceeds to die because he didn't have good enough gear or health. In this same game, I notice the last player and melon jump over to him, but then get confused as he had teleported to where I was, so I jump back over to him. Notice what I'm doing as I approach him. I switch between 2 weapons here. This is a very important tactic in Lucky Block Skywars, switching weapons. You see, there are 2 true weapons in the game, the Axe of Perun and Excalibur. If you happen to have both, you can dual wield them by hitting an enemy with one and switching to the other, which will hit the enemy with both essences of true damage, shredding their health. Anyways, weapon I am holding is Anduril, which increases my speed when I hold it. So, in order to close the distance faster, I hold out Anduril until I get close enough, and then I switch my weapon back to Excalibur to deal true damage. But as soon as I try to strike him down, he activates an invincibility star, so I gotta run away. Sure, I have melon launchers that can penetrate through his invulnerability, but his health is too high for them to be worth using, so instead, I rely on them as a mobility option to get away from him, and wait 15 seconds so his invincibility runs out. Notice now how he has used potential lifesavers as mobility. This is an awfully risky move and does consume items that could save his life, but since he has activated his invincibility star, he is making the active choice to pursue me in order to make the most out of his star. This is the choice the players have to make a lot of the time. Do they want to use their lifesavers aggressively, or save them for later in case they need them in a dire situation? It all depends on your preference, but back to the fight. I notice him hurling towards me, so I jump away with another melon, which actually damages him slightly. He's wasted 1 rush pearl while I only use 2 melons. I run away some more, holding my Anduril and such, trying to hit him with TNT but failing. I nail 1 clean hit with the TNT and try to approach him for a melee battle, but then get hit by a couple arrows from his bow and feel the pain, so I try and avoid getting hit too much. Eventually, I get him in a good position and start bashing him, but he teleports away. I up some more blocks to try and get something useful when I could boom and find his position. I keep opening, get another lifesaver and try to bridge. My zombies teleport to me, ended up making me fall, so I change course, but then the guy teleports to me and starts going on the offensive, so I reply with my own weapon and we clash. His zombies keep getting in the way here, and eventually they lock me in place, so the guy gets some nasty hits on me, and now I have a choice to make. I either run away because of this bad situation, or risk it all on hoping I don't get tossed around too much by the zombies, and land a clean blow or 2 on the last guy alive. We are both pretty low, but I'm not taking that risk. I have enough lifesavers to be safe while also using them tactically to get away, recoup, and get better gear, because I take way too much damage from that guy. So I tried to reinforce my armor, get stronger from various incredible chests and lucky blocks, mainly because my weapon is already incredibly strong. I just need enough protection to not die while attacking him. After I get enough gear, I head back to the middle and grab some rush pearls, compass to not lose track of the last guy. Then I attempt to get some more items from blocks before being swapped with into the void. I quickly react and throw a pearl upwards, but hit my stupid zombies again. But the second rush pearl gets me high enough that I can safely get to land. I climb up to the middle to find my opponent and spot him, trying to equip my pig launchers and jump over there to kill him. Zombies continue to get in my way, try to knock me off, but I barely make it, hitting the guy and killing a zombie at the same time, beating into him senselessly. We both get each other around equally low, but then he pig launches himself off the side in a vain attempt to escape and dies to his lack of lifesavers, winning me the game. So yeah, that was a taste of Lucky Block Skywars. There were still some things I missed out on, like the power of Strength 2 from OP potions, using bridge eggs and 1 rush pearl to save you from the void, just using the different elements of the game in so many different ways that it becomes incredibly fun. That's why I love playing Lucky Block Skywars, and why it's the best game on the Hypixel Network. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe. It would mean a lot. Also, according to YouTube statistics, a lot of you aren't subscribed yet, so if you would, please check if you are subscribed. If you aren't, click that red button. It's free. You can always opt out of it later. But yeah, see ya.